So we're still having technical difficulties, so you won't see much on the screen until later on, but we're going to start the meeting anyways. So now I'm calling to order a regular meeting of Beaverton City Council. City Recorder, please call the roll.
Counselor Duggar,
Here.
Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg,
Here.
Counselor Hassan,
Here.
Counselor Gimme, Counselor Teeter,
Here.
Counselor Tivnon,
Here.
and for the record, Mayor Beatty is absent tonight. Just to explain, we are able to broadcast the audio. It's just not the video right now. So the audio is being recorded.
Okay, thank you. We'll begin tonight's agenda starting with visitor comments. We will then move to presentation, city manager's report, the consent agenda, 2 public hearings, 1 first reading of an ordinance, a work session, and conclude with council new business. There are 7 people registered to comment at tonight's meeting. As a reminder, visitor comments provide the opportunity for community to speak about matters, even if they are not on the agenda. Visitor comments are limited to 2 minutes for each person. Visitors may state their comments and should not expect the council to engage in back and forth dialogue regarding the comments, as this is a matter, time for a council to hear from the community. If follow-up is needed, our city manager and city recorder are taking notes. First speaker is Lauren Garrett. Please come up. Welcome. You have 2 minutes to address the council.
Thank you. Good evening. Hi, President Kimmy and members of the council. I'm Lauren Garrett. I'm the executive director of the Beaverton Education Foundation, and I'm excited to be here tonight to just share a little update on our work in the community and some work we're actively engaged in. The Beaverton Education Foundation and the Beaverton School District are once again raising funds for families in the Beaverton School District with students who depend on school for their 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, and when they are away from school during winter break, they're missing many, many meals. I know you have all been actively and diligently working with our community in these most recent days and weeks, and thank you for all you've been doing to support everyone. The need is real and it is not going away. We know that. Last year, we were very successful in galvanizing all of our community to come together. We were able to meet the goals and requests from all the schools within the Beaverton School District at the time. We were very proud of that. And we also know that this year looks very different and the need is greater, the demand will be more, and things are much more expensive than they were a year ago. So we've increased our goal to $100,000 this year. We are increasing the value of the grocery gift cards that students will receive and take home over winter break to make sure that we can do more and try to make a bigger difference in the lives of our families. I just wanted to share a couple of highlights. In this year's activity already, we had some new partners join us this year. THPRD always does incredible community support and work within their own networks, but they've directed donations and supporters to make gifts toward this campaign this year so that everything is heading in one direction. They used to do different fundraising. So it's wonderful to have them on board. We've been receiving great donations from their community and their outreach. So we thank THPRD very much, as well as TVFNR has also joined us, which is a great new partner. And the Beaverton Police Department continues to be an active and an excellent partner. I know Chief Jepson's here tonight, and we're grateful for all that BPD does to support our work as well. Skanska, who is the project lead, as you see every day when you're driving by Beaverton High School, not only stepped up with a generous donation from the company, but is leading an effort to bring in outside business partners who they work with to really grow and expand awareness within their networks. They have a $25,000 goal within their Skanska community. We're grateful for them. Factious, neighbor next door in the building, between our parking lots, I guess, joined us this year. We ran into them at the food carts and they heard about us and were excited to join us. We're excited to have that business on board. And I'd like to finally make sure that we recognize the Beaverton Area Chamber of Commerce. They were the first organization who was able to accomplish their internal goal of having every single member of their board of directors make a personal gift both last year and this year. We are very grateful for them. They've already exceeded their goal and have upped their campaign amount because their members have been responding so much. So thank you to everyone. I thank all of you who have made gifts in the past. I thank you for your outreach and network connections and community connections and communication. Thank you, Councilor Duggar, for all you've been doing to help coordinate this. And if anyone is interested in following us, you can find us on our Beaverton ED Foundation.org. There's a link under our giving page to the Feed My Body, Feed My Brain campaign. And I thank all of you for your interest and continued support.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next up is Evelyn Coker. I have to remind you, the public comment is 2 minutes. If everybody goes over a minute, then we're gonna be here all night, so, all right. All right, Evelyn, you can go.
Thank you, Council President Kimmy and members of City Council. For the record, my name is Evelyn Kocher. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a lifelong resident of Beaverton, Oregon. I'm here today to encourage you to take action decisively regarding ICE raids in our community. In the month of October alone, ICE has detained 329 individuals in Oregon, according to the PERC. Out of those individuals detained, nearly half of them were in Washington County alone. I have seen ICE kidnapping people in our communities with my own eyes. In the parking lot of New Seasons in Cedar Hills, in the apartment complexes off of Allen Boulevard, and in front of Tom's Pancake House, only blocks from here, with ICE settings occurring nearly daily. My neighbors and I have done everything we can to try to help our community during this time. We've brought groceries to people who've lost family members. We've made hundreds of whistle kits that people can use to warn others about ICE activity. We have filmed ICE arrests. But this terror in our communities cannot be allowed to continue. With armed, masked stormtroopers without identification breaking windows and kidnapping our neighbors, how are we in the community expected to know if this is a member of the federal government or a criminal seeking to do us harm? This is only a matter of time before we have another Breonna Taylor in our own backyard. We as a community can only do so much for each other. I beg of you as our duly elected representatives to uphold our community's values. Washington County and the cities of Forest Grove and Hillsborough have already declared a state of emergency and unfrozen contingency funds to go to local organizations aiding immigrant communities. We can do that here. The mayor of Aurora, Illinois, asked his police force to aid in verifying the identities and warrants of masked, armed, and badgeless people purporting to be part of the federal government. We can do that here. Portland codified its sanctuary city laws into statute and standardized training for city employees on how to adhere to them. We can do that here. The only option that we do not have is to stay silent and do nothing as these forces inflict terror upon our communities. Nearly 2 in 5 Beavertonians are people of color, myself among them. My wife has begged me to start carrying my passport around with me to prove my citizenship when I'm out in public because of the color of my skin and my place of birth. Whatever power you have to make sure that we can safeguard the Beaverton that we all know and love, the one that is strengthened by diversity and acceptance, I ask that you please take it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Yasmin Ibarra.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Yasmin Ibarra. I'm the political director for SEIU Local 49. Our union represents nearly 15,000 essential healthcare workers, property service workers, including the subcontracted janitors here at the city of Beaverton. I'm here today to applaud the city's janitorial contract award to Oregon Forward Contractor and unionized employer Relay Resources. When the city contracts with Oregon Forward employers, you are securing high-quality public services for Beaverton taxpayers while providing important employment support to vulnerable Oregonians. Contracting with a union Oregon Forward employer like Relay Resources compounds this benefit by ensuring that these workers will receive living wages along with affordable benefits and vital worker protections. These advantages promote higher rates of worker retention relative to their non-union counterpart and can lessen the strain on the economy and the city's resources by reducing worker dependence on tax-funded social services. Your investment in good jobs has already improved the lives of workers that clean and maintain your buildings. One such story belongs to SEIU member and Beaverton janitor Layli Chassis, who testified before you, and I'm not sure if you quite remember her story, but at the time she shared with you that her job with Relay Resources was helping her get to her point where she was almost able to move out of her group foster care home and into her own apartment. I'm honored to share with you today that thanks to her ongoing employment with Relay, she now lives in her own apartment. She owns a cat and is like really elated to be independent. And that's what this is about. So the decisions and that you all made and the guidance that you're providing really makes a difference in the lives of these workers. So thank you for demonstrating your clear leadership and commitment to community values and for awarding this contract to Relay Resources.
Thank you. Next is Mason Crosswaite.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mason Crossway, and I work for Relay Resources as the lead janitor for the Beaverton Public Safety Center. And I was very excited to learn that the city council was putting to vote a 5-year extension to our work contract. And by voting yes, this secures that we get to stay with our current union contract, which allows us to maintain our seniority, which I personally have recently achieved 10 years with the company, as well as vacation days, medical benefits, and pensions. The union also provides us with job protections against discrimination and sexual misconduct. It also guarantees that we get our raises when the cost of living just keeps increasing. I urge you to vote yes, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Marlon Smith.
A bit of a traffic situation on the way here, so I'm just sitting in for Marlon, and my name's Anna Roberts. I'm just going to read what he would say. So my name's Marlon Smith. I've worked for Relay for 10 years, and I clean this building we're in today. First, I want to express my appreciation for the 14 years you've let Relay janitors clean City Hall. I spoke to you last year explaining why it is important for Beaverton janitors to have a union. There are a lot of stereotypes about janitors. People of color and people with disabilities face a lot of discrimination. This is against the law, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. With a union, my coworkers and I can stand up for our rights if we are mistreated. This job can be thankless and even dangerous. We work alone at night, and if a door is left unsecured or a broken lock isn't fixed, we're at risk. But we stay strong by the grace of God and do the best we can every day. We are thankful that we have a union contract that gives us regular pay increases, vacation, holidays, great health insurance, and job protection. You have an important decision to make tonight, whether you will keep union janitors cleaning your buildings or not. On behalf of the cleaning crew who keeps your buildings clean, I hope you will vote yes.
Thank you. Next is Miranda Moiser Puentes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Miranda Moore, and I teach at Portland State and live here in Beaverton. As I'm sure you know, Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition 500% increase in ICE detentions in October. We probably know the Oregonian said that probably higher as of this morning. Many of our neighbors and family members are among these numbers. First, I want to acknowledge the statement of commitment to sanctuary Beaverton recently released. I appreciate this, and I'm coming before you tonight to ask for more. The ICE raids are impacting our businesses, our schools, in our collective safety. I see one of the ways that people in Beaverton are dealing with this is posting photos of ICE on social media, and nervous community members kind of left to scroll through their newsfeed. Can I go out today to buy groceries or to a medical appointment? And I send my kids to school, and these images I'm sure you've seen are really chilling. We see abandoned cars. We hear stories of windows being smashed. Photos. I saw a photo of an ICE officer who had been asking Hispanic and Latino teenagers to show their IDs at the Plaid Pantry. Respectfully, I ask you, do you know what it's like to worry about your family member not coming? You know what it's like to imagine the torture they're enduring in ICE custody, which has an established record of human rights. 28 million people in the United States are part of a mixed status family. That's a family with at least one person. That's 1 in 12 people. So if you don't know what that's like, you very likely do know someone who's living it. I am grateful for the important work of this council. And I'm hard pressed to imagine much business that's more urgent than addressing the fears of our community. I'm coming before you tonight just to ask, what are you doing about this and what more can you do?
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Sarah Taylor.
I'm going to go ahead and thank the council. I'm not sure if you guys are fully aware of the severity of what's been happening in our city over the past few months. Our community has been terrorized by ICE and by Customs and Border Protection. People of color are being targeted simply because they do not fit the narrative of what white nationalists say Americans should look like. Our neighbors are being hunted down, assaulted, and unlawfully detained, yet the board sits here seemingly unbothered. How many more people will have to be abducted before you guys decide this is a problem? As of late September 2025, about 71.5% of people in ICE detention nationwide have had no criminal conviction. Yet ICE and CBP still want us to believe that they're going after the, quote, the worst of the worst criminals. These numbers tell a different story. They show that everyday people, often simply on their way to work, are being swept up, and their only crime is having brown skin. ICE was created in 2001. It was supposed to protect us from terrorism. Instead, it has become a source of terror in our own neighborhoods. Tonight, I come with 4 requests. They may seem significant, but these actions represent the bare minimum steps our city can take to ensure safety, dignity, and stability for our residents. The first is declare a state of emergency. Forest Grove, amongst other cities, have recently declared a state of emergency in response to the increased ICE activity and the harm caused to their community. Beaverton should stand with them and acknowledge the crisis occurring within its own borders. 2, disable flock safety cameras. If the Beaverton Police Department uses flock safety cameras, I request that those systems be disabled. Investigations in 2024 and 2025 have shown that ICE and CBP have gained access directly or indirectly to Flock's license plate reader system through data sharing by local agencies. Other cities have paused or restricted these systems for precisely this reason. Beaverton should stand in unity with them to protect its residents from surveillance that can lead to targeting and detention. Number 3, establish ICE-free zones and require identification. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson recently issued an executive order establishing ICE-free zones on city property, including schools, libraries, parks, and other public spaces, and make it clear to private businesses that they are under no obligation to allow ICE agents inside. I am asking you to issue a similar executive order here in Beaverton. Additionally, within city limits, ICE and CBP personnel should be required to remove masks and clearly identify themselves. If their actions are truly legal, there is no reason for them to hide their identities. Our own police officers wear visible identification. They do not conceal their faces. We should require the same transparency from our law enforcement agency operating in our city. Number 4, enact an eviction moratorium. People in our community are terrified to leave their homes. Many have been unable to work. In some families, the primary breadwinner has already been detained, leaving children, elders, and entire household vulnerable. A temporary eviction moratorium is a crucial layer of protection so families are not losing their homes or being targeted on their way to eviction court. Please, for just 1 second, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine the fear that they experience every single day. I was watching a podcast and Mayor Beatty on one of her podcasts stated, "Beaverton is stronger when we show up for one another." I will do anything I can to ensure our city remains safe and a welcoming place for people to live. Now, were those just words, or is it something to be acted upon? Because of right now, of the cities in this region, Beaverton is the only one that has failed to address these issues. Members of the board, our community is asking you directly, will you rise to this moment and protect the people you represent? Or will you continue to allow ICE and CBP operations that are traumatizing, intimidating, and destabilizing our neighborhoods? Every day you stay silent, though these agencies gain more freedom to carry out the large-scale raids and aggressive enforcement actions that leave families living in fear. We are asking for oversight, accountability, and a commitment to defend our community from further harm.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that we do have 3 written comments also. Next is presentation. Um,
Sarah Taylor on the list.
yeah, she's,
Oh, that was her,
Yeah.
okay. Just an update, they've finished the software install in the back, but their computer is still dead in the water. So, TVCTV is on the phone with their tech support.
okay.
So we are able to broadcast audio. If you are listening online, you can find the PowerPoint, online. Oh,
came
and
up.
it's up.
Good,
It's
nice.
because I said
Okay.
that, right? Okay.
All right. So next item.
Everyone.
Yeah, on the agenda is presentation. Tonight's presentation is a quarterly update on city's capital improvement plan for first quarter of fiscal year 2026. As a reminder, the purpose of presentation is to provide information to the council. While councilors may ask clarifying questions about the presentation itself, this is not the time to engage in back and forth policy development dialogue. So you may begin.
Council President, councilors, my name is Tim Elsey. I'm the Beaverton Public Works Director, and I'm happy to introduce you to our new city engineer. And this is Brian Vinson. Brian has come to us with a great background. He's actually been in public service for over 15 years with the city of Salem as a project engineer and project manager. He has worked for Emory and construction on the private sector as a project manager, and he's also been in the National Guard for 13 years. The 1249th Engineer Battalion in Salem. So he brings just a great combination of both public and private sector experience that is invaluable to our teams. Next slide. So tonight, as you can see, we're going to talk to you about our capital improvement plan. We're going to give you a quick overview, highlight some key projects, and talk about some notable projects. It's been my aspiration for a long time, actually, to start giving this council quarterly updates from Public Works on our capital improvement projects. Not only so that you can see all the work that our engineering team is responsible for, but so that to also let you know how these projects will prepare the city for the future. And I know you know that I'm always happy to be here to nerd speak to you, but in the future, these quarterly updates are going to be given to you by Brian, and I'm not going to be up here with him. I just wanted him tonight. In the future, he'll also be bringing some of the program managers and project engineers so that you'll get to see them, get to know them, and so that they can present their projects to you in the future. As you know, we're not going to be able to give you a comprehensive report every quarter. So we're going to highlight a few projects and try to ensure that you understand the challenges that we have with those projects, how they're going to serve the city in the future. That you give to us the priorities that you give. Speaking of that, we want you to know how these projects are vetted using the City Council strategic goals. Before I get into the heart of the information, I do want to remind you of our construction improvement program prioritization process. Once a project is identified and before it is put on the list for design and construction, it's scored utilizing the project prioritization criteria that's previously been presented to you back in actually 2023 by Jocelyn Blake and Jeff Hunsaker. I actually went back and watched the meeting where Jocelyn and Jeff presented that to you. And darn it, Jocelyn was just as good then as she is today. You know, you look back and you see she's a rising star then, and it just sort of made me angry a little bit. But so that you know as well, it's when we prioritize these projects, when we go through the scoring, it's no longer just engineering that does that. And that's direction from this council. As you will remember, we bring other people into the process. We bring in the Office of Equity and Inclusion, we bring in finance, we bring in Community Development Department, Economic Development to help us with this every year to ensure that we look at this through a multiple of lenses and not just through an engineering lens. Because believe it or not, we are self-aware enough to know that the engineering lens is not the only lens that we have to look through prioritizing projects. And we appreciate the directive that we've gotten from the council on that.
Good evening, Brian Vinson. Like Tim said, I was at the city of Salem for 15 years, so I do have quite a bit of background on capital improvement projects and project delivery. One thing that we've got up here I'd like to point out is a map showing where all of the current projects are within the city. One thing that I was kind of taken back by with this map when we put it together was the diversity in geography of these projects located throughout the city. I'd also like to point out that you'll see the symbols up there that represent the water, the storm sewer, the transportation, and the bureau projects. The projects that you see noted up there are not all of the projects that we've got going on. And so the legend to the right shows that we've got 40 water projects going on at this time, 13 water or storm sewer projects, 12 transportation projects, and 3 bureau projects. You'll also notice that there are some projects up there that have a W next to them, somewhat of an Easter egg hunt there. Those projects are the ones that are the WIFIA projects, and we have 5 of those ongoing right now. So this slide represents the fiscal year 26 5-year CIP that was presented back, I think it was in January, February of last year. I would like to point out that the fiscal year 26 budget that's shown up there is the council adopted budget with the fall supplemental information in that budget as well.
One of the things that I'd like to bring your attention to is the water new capacity line. You'll see that this year it's $23.1 million, and then it drops down precipitously next year. I want to point out that most of that is due to the fact that the Willamette Water Supply System project will be completed. And so there's over $11 million that's budgeted for that. We also have over $4 million that's budgeted for property acquisition. That's part of the reason for that.
Thank you, Tim. I would like to point out a few other things about this slide. You'll notice that there are obviously 3 water funds here. I'd like to mention that if you all know about the last water master plan that we did, I'm happy to report that most of those projects have been completed. And so the next effort that we just began, I think it was about a month ago, was the new master plan. And that effort's going to take approximately 18 months. And so out of that, obviously, will come new projects in the next period for the 5-year CIP.
So rest assured, we're not going to spend $0 in 28, 29, and 30.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to address. So you'll notice up here that, yes, there are some zeros shown in the water replacement fund. Those will not be zero. The projects will be inserted in those years. And quite frankly, there'll be some, I think, significant updates to this 5-year CIP with us going through the CIP process right now for fiscal year 27.
I don't think I need to say a whole lot about our transportation budget. I've spoken to you about that before. You will see that we're not spending very much money on this. Most of the projects that we have on transportation right now are MSTIP or TDT funded projects. They are not funded with the street fund. So, and Brian will be talking about one of the projects there, and that's going to be the Denny Road project. But that's why you're seeing the transportation project looking so low. And we did hear today, of course, the governor signed the transportation package, and we do understand that there is a political group that's trying to get petitions signed so that this is referred to the voters. So we're still not certain that we're going to get this funding in January.
The last thing I'd like to note on this slide is, Tim talked a little bit about the WIFIA projects. Those are obviously coming close to an end. Right now, we have 5 projects that are still on the books. And I'd like to report that 3 of those are in somewhat of a closeout phase right now, and then 2 of those projects will be active until approximately 2028. I'd like to also mention something about the bureau projects. Funding for bureau projects currently include the Loop, the First Street Commons, Canyon Road pedestrian safety improvements, and the bureau land acquisition. While we do expect other projects to materialize over the next few years, there are no other known projects on the horizon at this time. So what we're going to have is a map that shows the projects that I'll be discussing next. And so as you can see up there, the North Transmission Line project I'll be discussing next. Next slide. So when I discuss what I have for these projects, I'll kind of let you consume the information that's on this slide while I talk from my notes. Even though I'm sure you've been following this project, I'd like to give you a brief overview of the scope of the project and talk a little bit about what our current progress is. This is a WIFIA project using the CMGC alternative delivery process for design and construction, stretching from Tualatin Valley Highway following 170th Avenue and 173rd Avenue to Walker Road, then running from the intersection of Walker Road and 173rd to Evergreen Parkway in Hillsborough This project includes approximately 36,100 feet of, which is 6.8 miles, by the way, of 24-inch and 16-inch seismically resilient ductile iron water line. The project also includes 6 trenchless crossings of railroads and creeks throughout its length. In addition, there is significant roadway restoration of the asphalt and the concrete streets. This project's been split up in 3 distinct phases for constructions, noted as Segment 1, Segment 2, and Segment 3. Segment 1 is approximately 90% complete, with completion scheduled for spring of 2026. Segment 2 design is at 100%. This is a Washington County-led design and construction project and is expected to begin winter of 2026. In order to maintain construction progress during the design and permitting process, Segment 3 is in design and is being split up into subsegments that are labeled 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. Completion for all segments of this project are estimated to be fall of 2028. With each of these projects, I'd like to include a little note from each project manager for the project. For this project, the project manager is happy to report that so far the project has been an overwhelming success, and that with 4 trenchless crossings included in Segment 1, there have been no major issues or change orders associated with this work. Where there have been cost overruns on the project, most have been due to owner-requested scope changes along the way, and that's a pretty amazing feat for a project of this size. Next slide, please. And next slide. So the 209th pump station. Located outside the city limits, this is also a WIFIA project using the CMGC alternative delivery process. The scope of this project includes the construction of a seismically resilient pump station that will interconnect the city's primary water supply from the Joint Water Commission with a new secondary source of water from the Willamette Water Supply. In addition, existing pump station will be retrofitted to provide state-required disinfection and will also provide fluoridation. The project has reached final design, and we have entered into a council-approved GMP with the contractor that results in a construction start date of spring 2026 and an anticipated completion date of summer 2027. Note from the project manager: long lead time materials, including steel pipe, have already been ordered to maintain project momentum, with delivery expected by mid-February of 2026. We anticipate breaking ground shortly thereafter, and once underway, construction is projected to take approximately 12 months for this project. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. The Sterling Park project. This is also a WIFIA project. However, this project was competitively bid, which is basically referred to as a hard bid project. The Sterling Park Stormwater Treatment Facility takes stormwater from the Sterling Park neighborhood and uses slow sand filtration mixed with media filtration, sand and carbon, granular activated carbon, and UV treatment to bring the stormwater quality to groundwater quality. The facility also includes a pump station to convey the treated stormwater either directly into the purple pipe distribution system or to the ASR 3 and 3A wells for future use. While this project has been completed since June 2025, it will be going through in-service system testing and commissioning with actual stormwater flows. So one thing to note about this project is that once the contractor was done with the project, they did go through some system testing, but with clean water, because at the time, obviously, they didn't have stormwater in June. So the contractor's been released from their contract obligations, and operations staff with the consultants will be going through and testing this facility this winter. It'll be the first winter that it truly gets tested for its capabilities. Note from the project manager: this is a very unique project, and in fact, it's the only one of its kind in Oregon, and in fact, one of very few in the United States. Next slide, please.
And I get to talk to you a little bit about the AMI metering project that we have going on because, as you know, I like to speak. So this is a very exciting project, and we are replacing all of the meters and all of the residential meters in Beaverton with AMI, advanced metering infrastructure meters. And what these meters do is that they will let us know of leaks before they become major leaks in many cases. They won't find every catastrophic leak that we're going to have. But what they do, and this is very new technology in the industry, is that they listen all the time for the amount of background noise that's going on. What it does is, so if you have a meter that's near a highway, it will sense that background noise of the highway and then look for other ambient noise to see if there's any leaks associated with that particular meter. The old AMI systems, they would tell you if there's a leak in a house. What these meters will do is they listen both upstream and downstream so that you can find out if there's a leak in the water main itself. We've already put in about 6,000 of these meters in our system, and we've already found 5 leaks based on. And we've already completed 1 construction project because of this technology. The other thing that this allows us to do, by the way, and again, I'm excited about this, it's a game changer for the city of Beaverton, is that as we know of an area and we know that we're going to be replacing a water main in the area, we will put in these meters at this time so that we can sense where do we need to begin and end that project. So it's allowing us to be more focused as we go into the future, and it's allowing us to find problems before they turn into problems. I also want to say that this technology was originally brought to us by 2 frontline employees that went to a conference, and this was presented at that conference. They brought it back. They started talking with their supervisor about it. It sort of sat dormant for a little while until the idea came back up. This is a WIFIA project, and originally, because of the old technology, all of our meter boxes would have to be replaced. But because of these meters, they're smaller than the older meters. They fit into the existing meter boxes. By the way, that wasn't a cheap fix to replace those meter boxes. It was over $2 million. So this has allowed us to buy more meters rather than meter boxes. So this is just an example of how this has worked all the way up through the organization so that our teams are making better decisions for you.
So Tim mentioned a project that came out of the AMI meter installations. I'd like to mention that that project was called Clearwater Court. What's amazing to me is that it was 5 months between the time we installed the meters, identified a leak, performed a small design, got pricing, and construction was completed. 5 months from identification to completion. It was pretty amazing. So I'm pretty happy about that. Next slide, please. Next slide. These are 2 city internal staff design projects to replace aging and failing water lines. While these projects were initially intended to be delivered separately, timing of their design completion allows for them to be bid and awarded under a single contract. This is a pretty straightforward water line replacement project. However, I think it's important to note that a portion of this work will take place within the Hart Road traffic circle, making traffic control challenging. To help with this, the project is requiring limited work hours to help prevent traffic congestion during these times. Construction is anticipated to begin spring of 26 with completion scheduled for fall 2026. PM message. These project designs have taken significantly longer to complete than originally anticipated. Therefore, we are excited that it's finally happening. Next slide, please. Next slide. The Denny Road project. This is a MSTIP project funded through Washington County that includes full-width roadway improvements and will span from 105th Avenue to Shoals Ferry, including signal improvements at the Shoals Ferry intersection, new fiber infrastructure, new ADA ramps, bike lanes on both sides, 6-foot wide sidewalks on both sides. The project also includes upgrades to the existing water, sewer, and storm utilities and the relocation of PGE power lines. The design is currently at 90% completion with an anticipated construction start date of summer 2027 and a completion date of winter of 2028. While the current IGA contemplates Washington County delivering the construction of this project, there have been talks about having Beaverton take over the construction management once the project is ready for bidding. This is something that we support and will be likely coming back to council with a revised IGA to request approval for this agreement modification. Message from the project manager. Beaverton Public Works Engineering, Traffic, Transportation, Utilities, and Operations staff members recently provided extensive comments to the design engineer upon review of the 90% plans, and we are excited to see this project move forward. Next slide, please. So I've got a list of notable projects here. I had quite a few notes to talk about these projects, but what I think I'll do instead, if it's okay with you, I think you'd like some time back. I'll just mention these projects very briefly. The first one is the Schiller and 84th Avenue Sewer Improvement Project. It's an I&I project. Basically, I think that you guys know I&I is inflow and infiltration. And so one of the great things about fixing these projects is it significantly helps reduce the tax on the treatment plant that CWS operates. So that's one major reason for doing those. Not to mention, the costs are significantly less if we can catch those pipes in time to be able to do CIPP lining. Because if we wait too long, they have to be open cut, and that is more expensive. So we're trying to do a good job at identifying those projects early and be able to do trenchless methods of construction for those. Cooper Mountain Reservoir number 3, as I'm sure that you're aware, this is in Cooper Mountain, and this is in the South Cooper Mountain, kind of I guess I'll call it the mid. It's kind of confusing, right? Like when I came on board, there's like this Cooper Mountain, there's South Cooper Mountain, there's Cooper Mountain, and there's I guess what I call North Cooper Mountain. So this project would be in Cooper Mountain, so kind of in the middle. This project right now, progress is that we've got an appraiser on board to appraise the property that we're looking at, and we anticipate sometime next year an offer will be made, and then we can start making plans for the siting and the construction of this project. ASR well number 7A, this is in North Cooper Mountain. So basically this project is at the site of the new reservoir that was just built, the pump station, and another ASR well, as well as the shop building that was built there with that project. This project basically will increase the storage capacity of our system and also be able to provide water to our system in the event that there's anything that happens in the system from construction to any kind of emergencies that may happen. It's also going to provide us a way to react to situations where maybe the Willamette Water Supply or TVWD is not able to provide us water in those situations. So.
I just want to thank you for your time tonight. I want to thank, a special thanks to Luke Pels, who put together this presentation for us this week. And this is the first of many presentations. We'll be coming back to you, and you'll see us quarterly. You won't see me, but you'll see others quarterly, and they'll just.
Thank you. Anyone have a question?
Thank you.
No? All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in tonight. Next item on the agenda is City Manager's report. City Manager.
Thank you. I will wait just a moment to get the slide deck up, and we'll share 5 updates with you, and then I have a special presentation for you afterwards. Thank you. If we can move to the next slide. All right. Well, this fall, the city continued its commitment to fostering inclusion, belonging, and community connection with 2 impactful programs, the Belonging Speaker Series and Welcoming Week 2025. In October, the Belonging Speaker Series hosted a compelling session titled Disability Etiquette and Justice at the Beaverton Library. The event is a part of an ongoing series designed to bridge social divides and strengthen Beaverton's sense of community. The next session will be focused on housing and houselessness. It's scheduled for January 2026. Beaverton also celebrated its 11th annual Welcoming Week, a milestone that's honored more than a decade of building a more inclusive city. The week kicked off with the inaugural Welcoming Resource Fair, connecting residents with over 20 local organizations and services, as well as cultural celebrations with music, dance, stories, and much more. I want to thank our Office of Equity and everyone who participated in supporting these events. I look forward to seeing what's next. Next slide. So you're invited to kick off the holiday season with the annual Winter Lights and Tree Lighting Ceremony. It's going to be held Friday, December 5th from 4 to 8 p.m. at City Park in downtown Beaverton. This is a free family event, and it will feature winter markets, live performances by local musicians, and activities for all ages. Performances and activities begin at 6, and the tree lighting is at 7. And if you can't make the event, Beaverton Winter Lights will be on display nightly from Monday, December 1st through Saturday, January 3rd, and also from 4 to 8 for family photos and seasonal strolls. Next slide. Well, let's add a bit of sparkle to our neighborhood, shall we? So whether it's hosting a block party or a concert in the park or installing a welcome sign or adding trees in public areas, the Neighborhood Match Grant Program can make it happen. This is a really exciting program and we want all community members to know about these grants, which provide up to $3,500 for community building events and improvement projects. The city provides dollar for dollar matching funds for volunteer time, donated materials, or cash. So anyone can participate. We'd include all of your neighbors in this. Why don't you check out beavertonoregon.gov/neighborhood, learn more and apply. Next slide. So funny you should see yourself on that slide. We are wanting to announce to the community that your annual retreat is coming up. And it is going to take place on Sunday, December 7th from 8:30 to 4:30 and Monday, December 8th from 4 to 8 p.m. It will be filmed, so please, we're encouraging the community to tune in. If you want more information, again, check out our website, /council for more details. And next slide. So like many Oregon cities, as you know, Beaverton faces a structural budget deficit driven by expenses that are outpacing revenue growth, further strained by tax limitations at the county and the state levels. Despite significant efforts to improve our financial position, including a $9 million reduction in costs, which includes the elimination of 32 positions, a comprehensive citywide fee review, and the full utilization of our local property tax authority, we still have a funding gap. To address this, the City Council is actively exploring additional strategies to stabilize our finances, both in the near and the long term. If you're interested in learning more about the progress we've made so far, we want to encourage the community to review and watch several recordings of the City Council. They've been held, on September 9th, September 16th, and October 21st. The sessions covered cost-saving measures, ongoing financial constraints, and potential revenue opportunities. Our next discussion has been rescheduled and will take place on Tuesday, December 2nd. That concludes the update, but I do want to take some time to talk to the community and the council about our immigration enforcement response. And I have a few slides that I'd like to show, so I'll wait a moment to have those be brought up. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to first acknowledge the harm that is happening in Beaverton and the communities around us, and highlight our response to immigration enforcement activities. I recently issued a message to the community reminding our residents that for nearly a decade, Beaverton has proudly stood as a sanctuary city. What that means is simple but powerful. Our city is dedicated to being a safe, welcoming place for everyone, regardless of immigration status. We fully comply with Oregon's Sanctuary Promise laws, which prohibit local law enforcement from using city resources to enforce federal immigration law. Next slide. The Beaverton Police Department play a key role in this commitment. Our officers do not ask about immigration status, and they do not assist with federal immigration enforcement unless legally required. And the truth is, federal agencies don't usually notify cities or local police ahead of time, so we learn about these things when the public does. It's important to note that local law enforcement cannot legally interfere with federal activities or mandate how they operate. However, as you heard this evening, Beaverton police officers will always identify themselves as Beaverton police officers and respond to all calls for disturbances that they receive. Our officers work for and on behalf of the local community. We want everyone to feel safe when reaching out to the police for help and to report a crime. Beyond enforcement, Beaverton is actively sharing information and community resources that offer universal legal representation against deportation, rapid response and support for immigrant communities, and finally, legal aid and education. Next slide. We understand the severe impact this is having on our individuals and families in the community, and we've taken immediate action to do the things that we have control over.
We've streamlined access to our utility assistance program, which is administered by Community Action. Specifically, we removed the cap for qualified residents, allowing them to access more assistance if needed, which means that typically there's 4 opportunities for you to receive assistance. If you've maxed out the 4, you can have 4 more or 4 more after that. We've eliminated the reapplication requirement to expedite access to relief. Once you're in the system, you're in the system. You don't need to apply again. We've ensured that no shutoffs while customers are actively working to qualify assistance will occur. So once you start the process, you won't be subject to being shut off. No shutoffs during the holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year. Next slide. We also are taking support one step further and actively partnering with our local CBOs by doing 2 things. First, we're partnering with Centro to host a Know Your Rights community training event that's scheduled for December 9th. And we're expanding our work with existing CBOs to support residents that are impacted by things like vehicle-related incidents that might involve towing or car damage as a result of ICE enforcement. We may explore further broadening this scope of support. Next slide. We also see a negative impact that's affecting our businesses due to the enforcement. And this saddens us, and what we want to do is we want to implement several city initiatives, and I'll also highlight some of the work that we're doing with our partners as well. We'd like to develop a safe to shop multilingual campaign, increase friendly city presence, and what this means is using non-law enforcement city staff to conduct supportive business walks to show that the city is present and listening. Develop rapid response microgrants. This means small, immediate grants between $1,000 and $3,000 to offset documented sales losses or support emergency marketing needs. We are so grateful to our partnership collaborations, especially with the Beaverton Area Chamber of Commerce, who's been providing legal resource information to both our businesses and CBOs. Impact Beaverton, which is a collaboration between the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Beaverton, that support new and growing businesses, is another avenue that we've used to provide both guidance and video development to promote businesses within the Urban Renewal District. And we are also working actively with Washington County to implement a coordinated marketing plan with local CBOs. Next slide. And finally, wrapping up, the city has been actively seeking opportunities to fight for what's happening in our community by using legal resources, whether it's joining amicus briefs or developing a policy framework to guide legal decisions to join litigation. We will work together to fight what's happening in our community. In short, Beaverton's commitment to supporting the community is just the beginning. This is the first of many initiatives aimed at building a safer, more inclusive community that is for everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for the presentation. Does anyone have a question to the city manager? No? Go ahead.
I just don't want it to go unsaid tonight that we heard the comments. Thank you for addressing this at the end of the city manager's report. I think that there's this balance between, is it just being performative to say that we feel distressed on behalf of the people living in Beaverton, or is there something that we can actually do? And it did more for my sense of, I don't even know how to find the words to say this, but even something as small as helping someone tow a car because their loved one has been abducted. It might seem small, but it's something. And it's the little things, finding those and then working together on the bigger things and figuring out what we can do, learning from other jurisdictions and what they're doing, and hearing from the community and hearing their stories and making sure that they are hearing what we're doing. I think that's the next step, is the people in this room are hearing it. How are we going to make sure that this gets pushed forward to everybody living in Beaverton to know that our city is thinking about this, working together, working with our city attorney's office, working with partners to try and form some sort of a response to this invasion of our community and the county and our state. So just thank you for getting it onto the record, and look forward to continuing to think through this.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. We'll now move on to approval of the consent agenda. The agenda includes the City Council's consent agenda and the Contract Review Board's consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Sure, I move to approve the council consent agenda and the contract review board consent agenda.
I'll second.
Been moved by the Councilor Hassan and seconded by Councilor Duggar to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there any discussion?
I have one.
John?
Yeah, I just want to call out a couple things. First of all, I want to thank city staff for the extra time on the open air Beaverton rulemaking part of this. This is something I know I've asked a lot of staff lately, and I just want to acknowledge that this gives us time to have the proper conversation without feeling rushed and everything. And so I want to acknowledge that. And then within the contract review board, I just want to acknowledge the work by our city staff and Relay to bring us to a really great position. I'm incredibly proud of the work from our partners and our city staff. We heard you last year to our Relay partners, and we see it on a day-to-day, the progress. And so I just want to congratulate you all and really thank you for allowing us to show those values and then us all live them together. So I just want to acknowledge that too. Thank you.
Councilor Hassan?
Yeah, I just commend city staff and Relay and the SEIU folks. I know that a year ago, we heard from you and we were trying to figure out what we could do. And my heart breaks when I think of folks in health insurance and what that looks like. And so it was very moving. And I think I'm really proud to see city staff work with all the partners involved to get us to this point. So I'm really excited to vote yes.
Okay, seeing no other comments, City Recorder, please take the vote by roll call.
Counselor Duggar,
Yes.
Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg,
Yes.
Counselor Hassan,
Yes.
Council President Kimmy,
Yes.
Counselor Teeter,
Yes.
Counselor Tivnon,
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the first of our 2 public hearings this evening. This hearing is on ordinance number 4874, an ordinance amending the Beaverton's comprehensive plan land use map to adopt boundaries for Riley Hills Town Center and Sunset Town Center, LU 42025-00608/CPTA 42025-00718. And I call to order the public hearing. Before we move to the substance of the hearing, I will ask the city attorney to cover some preliminary matters.
Good evening, council. I'm Robin McIntyre, Assistant City Attorney. Tonight's hearing will proceed as follows. After the preliminary legal matters, staff will make a presentation. The council will then have an opportunity to ask questions and will hear public testimony in the following order. First, from those in support, then by those opposed, then by those who are neither in support nor opposed. After the council asks any final questions of staff, the hearing will be closed and council will deliberate towards a decision. Anyone wishing to speak at this hearing should follow the instructions included on tonight's agenda. For those attending in person, please complete a yellow visitor comment card found at the table by the entry doors. Once the card is filled out, give the card to the city recorder seated at the end of the dais and wait to be called. If you've joined the meeting by phone, you can enter *9 to let the city recorder know you wish to speak. Alternatively, if you've joined this meeting online, you can click the raise hand feature to let the city recorder know you wish to speak. Each member of the public will have up to 3 minutes to speak. When you speak, please give your name and address for the record. Now I will explain the criteria the council must use to make its decision tonight, and then I will ask the members of council if they wish to make any disclosure. Council's decision is based on the adoption of the ordinance and must be based on consideration of statewide planning goals and administrative rules adopted under ORS Chapter 197, applicable federal or state statutes or rules, applicable plans and rules adopted by Metro, and the city's comprehensive plan and development code. Council may consider any relevant testimony that it receives. Failure to raise an issue during the city's hearing on this ordinance precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Any party with standing may appeal the decision of the City Council to the State Land Use Board of Appeals according to the rules adopted by that board. Persons with standing include those who submit written comments or present oral comments. But this time I'd like to ask if any members of the council wish to declare a potential or actual conflict of interest. Let the record show no response. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the ability of any council member to participate in this decision? Record show no response. Presiding officer, that concludes the preliminary legal matters.
Thank you. Let's proceed to the staff presentation.
Thank you. Hello, Council President Kimmy and councilors. I'm Brian Martin, Long Range Planning Manager with the city. And I'm joined by Sarlia Hickson, Associate Planner, who's attending remotely. Tonight's public hearing is related to a comprehensive plan amendment that would add 2 town center boundaries to the comprehensive plan land use map. You can see those 2 boundaries in yellow on the first slide here. The question before you tonight is whether you support the proposed amendments. Next slide, please. As a reminder, the Designing Walkable Places project includes these town center amendments, as well as other development code changes and a few comprehensive plan changes. They were originally scheduled to be heard together. Staff is bringing them in 2 separate hearings because the development code comp plan portion required more time, but these town center map amendments were ready, and they're required by Metro to be approved by the end of this calendar year. The Planning Commission continued the hearing on the non-town center elements to January 7th, so the council may have a hearing on those in March. So tonight, the hearing involves only the town center maps, boundaries, and it's very narrow in focus. Slide, please. The proposed comprehensive plan changes to the land use map would establish boundaries for the Sunset Town Center and the Raleigh Hills Town Center. They are the only 2 centers not yet adopted that are relevant to the city of Beaverton. The regional and town centers in general are part of the Metro 2040 urban growth concept, which was first adopted in the 1990s to promote efficient use of land within the urban growth boundary and focus compact development in these centers and major corridors. This map shows the specific boundaries for the Sunset Town Center. The yellow area is the proposed town center, and staff worked with Washington County staff and coordinated on the boundary. The county is also working to adopt the same boundary. Next slide, please. The Raleigh Hills Town Center on this map has been indicated on Metro's map for decades, but it never had a specific boundary. It was just kind of a blob on their map to be determined. So the yellow boundary on this map was developed in coordination with Washington County and generally reflects the higher intensity commercial mixed use and multi-unit zoning in that area. Also, the county is also working on adopting the same boundary. The approval criteria for this application are found in Comprehensive Plan Section 1.5.1, and of course, the city attorney mentioned those. The staff report provides findings for the approved criteria. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the council approve the comprehensive plan land use map amendments as recommended by the Planning Commission. That concludes the staff presentation. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might.
Any questions for the staff? No. As a reminder, council will be taking testimony first from those in support, followed by those opposed, and finally by those who are neither in support nor opposed. Now is the time for testimony in support. City Recorder, is there anyone here to speak on proposed ordinance?
Yes, the 2 individuals on the yellow card. I
Okay.
don't know if we have anyone online. There's no one online.
So the first speaker is Joseph Schaefer. When you speak, please give your name and state whether you are a resident of Beaverton. Please remember to speak clearly and loudly so that your comments can be understood and recorded. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. When you finish speaking, council members may ask questions related to your comments. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Joseph Schaefer. land use planner at Jordan Ramus in Portland. I am not a Beaverton resident. I'm here with Scott Neaton. We're here on behalf of the Peter Cord family, which owns a significant amount of property in the Sunset Transit Center area. And we're here to speak in support of the application. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the planning staff. You've met David, and Anna and Jenna are also here tonight. I think it's a smart thing to do. We support the idea of the Metro 2040 plan and the slight adjustment that the map is making tonight. Thank you.
You can,
I need to say anything. Joseph spoke for me. Thank you. We really appreciate all the good work.
thank you. Is there any questions to the speaker? All right, thank you so much. We are moving on to testimony in opposition. City Recorder, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
No, Council President, there is not.
So no member of public who wants to speak in opposition. Then tonight, we are moving on to testimony neither in support nor in opposition. City Recorder, is there anyone wishing to speak?
No, Council President, there is not.
There appears to be no member of the public who wants to speak neither in support nor in opposition. Does any member of the council have any question for staff? I see no names. Does staff have any further comments or clarification regarding proposed legislation?
Council President, no comment from staff. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. You could have shouted that. Does the city attorney have any further comments?
Not have any further comments. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no further questions from the council, the public hearing is now closed. The council may either adopt the proposed ordinance recommended by the planning commission or take other action. But if other action is proposed, the motion must include specific direction as to what that other action is. Is there a motion regarding the ordinance?
Yes. I move that the council adopt ordinance number 4874, an ordinance amending the Beaverton Comprehensive Plan land use map to adopt boundaries for Raleigh Hills Town Center and Sunset Town Center, LU 42025-00608/CPTA 42025-00718.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? No? Okay. We are ready for a vote. Would the city recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Duggar,
Yes.
Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg,
Yes.
Counselor Hassan, Council President Kimmy,
Yes.
Counselor Teeter,
Yes.
Counselor Tibnon,
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is our second public hearing. The hearing is on Agenda Bill 25186, Ordinance Number 4875, an ordinance amending Beaverton Code Section 2.05.026 relating to the special disposition of other personal property. Anyone wishing to speak at this hearing should follow the instructions included on tonight's agenda. For those attending in person, please complete a yellow visitor comment card found on the table near the doors at the back of the council members and give the card to the city recorder seated at the end of the dais. Each member of the public will have up to 3 minutes to speak. When you speak, please give your name and city of residence for the record. Council members may ask questions of the presenter, the city attorney, or staff that will help the council member make a decision. Staff presentation, please.
Evening. My name is Misha Sashavich. I'm the investigations for our police department, and I'm joined by Grace Wong from the city attorney. Roughly once or twice a month, community members turn in firearms department that they don't want to. This agenda bill has proposed a language change that would allow the police department to trade the firearms into a license so that we could use the credit on those firearms toward the purchase of items that we're otherwise already purchasing with dollars. You have more details in the agenda bill, and Ms.
Is there any questions from the, okay, Councilor Duggar?
Can you just tell me a little bit about oversight of and accountability for the spending? Because it is a little bit outside of we won't see that level. And I just want to make sure that someone's making sure that this is actually going to budgeted items and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about how we're just going to make sure that this isn't a slush fund for something else? Besides trust, and I do trust you guys, but I just want to make sure for the
Certainly.
record.
Yeah, certainly. No, when we trade the firearms in, there's a form that we sign that's approved by the different members of the police department. And then it's traded into the dealer that we use for the items already. So it's the funds aren't going into an account. They are just a credit
store
with
credit
the
card?
firearms dealer that we already use for the purchases.
And then a manager would have to sign off on the purchases or whatever the normal process is.
I would
Something
have
like
to
that.
double check on that, but that's my understanding.
That sounds like, okay. Cool, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Councilor Hartman-Prig?
I just wanted to, also, you didn't touch on, but it was in the agenda bill that the individuals who turn in the weapons, they still have the option to ask for the item to be destroyed.
Yes, we have a firearms relinquishment form. We ask them if they're willing to sign that tells them that we may do other things. We may trade in the weapon, we may destroy it, we may use it for training. That's a consent item. They can decline to sign that, and if they ask for that item to be destroyed, honor that request.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. I will now open the public hearing. City Recorder, is there anyone here to speak on the proposed ordinance?
No, Council President, there is not anyone in person or online to speak.
There appears to be no member of the public who wishes to comment on this matter tonight. I will now close the public hearing. Do I have a motion? Anyone?
Yeah. I move that the council adopt ordinance number 4875, an ordinance amending the Beaverton Development Code, section 2.05.026, relating to the special disposition of other personal property.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any
Point of
discussion?
clarification.
Yes.
Sorry, Councilor Teeter. You said Beaverton Development Code, but it's not Development Code. So just want to make sure we have the right.
Yes,
Code.
Beaverton Code section. Thank you.
Thank
Not
you.
Development Code.
Yeah, I thought I heard that, but thanks for reminding, any discussion? Yes. Councilor
Leila.
Hassan?
Thank you for bringing this. It's a very interesting policy, but I'm really glad that we're doing this tonight. So thank you.
Okay. We are ready for a vote. Would the City Recorder please call the roll?
Councilor Duggar,
Yes.
Councilor Hart Mayor Prig,
Yes.
Councilor Hassan,
Yes.
Council President Kimmy,
Yes.
Councilor Teeter,
Yes.
Councilor Tibnon,
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Okay. Would Councilor Duggar read the first reading?
On December 2nd, 2025, during the regularly scheduled city council meeting, a public hearing will be held regarding an ordinance amending ordinance number 2050, the Beaverton Development Code, oh boy, LU 42024-00710-2025 Code Maintenance Project Text Amendment TA 42024-00709.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the work session regarding development fees. We'll begin the work session with staff summarizing the results of development fees study. When the presentation is done, each councilor will have the opportunity to comment on the presentation and ask questions of the presenter. You can begin your presentation.
Okay. Good evening, Council President and councilors. My name is Andy Varr. I'm the Community Development Department Director,
And I'm joined by Anna Slatinsky, our Planning Division Manager, and also in the audience is Koile, our Site Development Manager. In this work session, we will be discussing the study of development permit application fees conducted over the last 6 months as a follow-up to establishment of the citywide master fee schedule that was adopted earlier this year. Next slide, please. Our presentation will review the fee study and share some takeaways, including staff's proposed approach to updating development permit application fees for planning, open air Beaverton fees, and a few other fee update considerations that are relevant to community development. Next slide, please. Thank you. At the end of the presentation, we're requesting feedback on these questions you see on the screen to inform preparation of a final proposal that is scheduled for a council vote on December 16th. Now I'll hand the presentation over to Anna.
Thanks, Andy. This study focuses on planning fees because the citywide fee study did not include a close analysis of planning application processing cost recovery. There are dozens of planning applications, and review can require different amounts of time depending on the specific applicant and project characteristics. However, it is appropriate for planning fees to be considered in the context with overall development permitting costs, so building and site development fees are included in some of the analysis. The approach overall has been guided by city policy goals and council priorities. This includes seeking to understand how Beaverton development permitting fees compare to peer jurisdictions, an analysis of the cost recovery for planning, and consideration of the role that development plays in achieving desired policy outcomes, such as housing production and support for businesses. The benchmark fee comparison updates a similar 2022 study that compares fees for common development projects with the fees for permits for those same projects in other jurisdictions. The agenda bill attachment provides a lot of detail about that work. So this chart, okay, sorry, I'll give you a heads up about the slide next time. This chart shows the combined fees for all of those benchmark projects across all of those jurisdictions. According to this analysis, Beaverton fees overall really fall in the middle of the jurisdictions that are included in the study. Next slide, please. This chart, in contrast, shows planning fees specifically. While Beaverton planning fees are still not the highest or the lowest, 4 of the 5 other jurisdictions have planning application fees that are higher than Beaverton, some pretty significantly higher. Next slide, please. Turning to planning cost recovery analysis, the 2025 study estimated that planning fees recoup approximately 40% of costs. However, as mentioned earlier, the study was not able to fully consider the variability and complexity of planning application review. Planners who process permit applications tracked their time in detail for 6 weeks in May and June this year. The data was combined with an assessment of staff and other city costs to yield an estimated cost recovery of about 35%. The time study also allowed for refining estimates for the time spent on each of the dozens of individual planning applications. Some applications are relatively simple and have a short turnaround. These applications have more predictable costs. However, some applications are more complex, take longer to process, and have a wider range of costs depending on the project. This variability highlights the importance of using fee structures that are proportional when possible. Staff recommend targeting an average cost recovery of 75% for planning applications, with fees for individual applications increased to a maximum of 100% cost recovery, and the flexibility to set some fees lower to address council priorities and reflect the variability of costs for different individual projects. Selected applications are proposed to be subsidized in full and have no fee to reflect council priorities, and these are listed in the agenda bill. To tailor the fee levels more accurately, staff proposes to continue to use some fee structures that are proportional to project size and value, In addition, some new fees are being developed to address cost variations, such as fees for submitting more than 3 application revisions and a fee to cover the cost of holding a public hearing at Planning Commission or Council. Staff will continue to monitor cost recovery and explore opportunities to reduce the cost of application review and refine fee approaches in the future. And development fees will also continue to increase annually with inflation. I'll hand it back to Andy to talk about Open Air Beaverton, and there will be an opportunity to discuss and ask questions at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please.
Okay, thanks, Anna. So now I'll briefly discuss the process and the policy approach to updating our Open Air Beaverton fees. Like I said, Coy is here to assist with any technical or site-specific questions with the program, and he helped prepare the analysis. As a reminder, Open Air Beaverton was introduced during the pandemic to allow businesses to safely offer outdoor dining options. The program's regulations have not changed since 2021, and we plan to make recommendations for updating the code in the first half of next year. The OAB, Open Air Beaverton fees, were not adjusted until earlier this year when we adopted our master fee schedule for the city of Beaverton, and we received feedback indicating that changes were necessary regarding these fees. In some cases, some were explicitly too high. So the proposed OAB fee options are based on a regional fee benchmark and a cost impact analysis similar to the planning exercise. The new options aim to promote fairness, transparency, and efficiency for both our participants and our staff. They also reflect council priorities such as supporting downtown businesses and aim for better alignment with actual right-of-way usage and staff services. And you have all the details of the analysis in the exhibit to the agenda bill. Next slide, please. So to a couple options, this chart illustrates the total fees for all permits related to real businesses in downtown Beaverton, which includes both parklets, or also called street seats, and sidewalk cafe seating. It displays the current fees for new and renewed permits alongside the proposed option 1 fees shown here, which account for the use of the right-of-way, including parking spaces and sidewalk areas. So those areas that are public right-of-way being used for OAB purposes. Next slide, please. For option 2, this chart outlines the same fee structure for parklets and street seats, but it proposes a flat fee of $300 for sidewalk cafes, which will apply to both new permits and renewals. In both options, the proposed annual fee for 1 parking space is set at $500. This means that a street seat structure would contribute a proportionate share for using an on-street parking space year-round. These options aim to reduce barriers for small businesses by offering lower fees compared to our current rates, except for parklet street seats that occupy more than 1 parking space. They would see a modest increase in a renewal fee based on more than a 1 space occupancy. Additionally, all fees will be combined into a single inspection and permit process for improved efficiency for our participants. Okay, and now over to Anna to wrap things up.
Next slide, please. Additional updates to the citywide master fee schedule will be included in the amendments that are brought to council in December. These include mechanical permit updates on the building permit fee schedule, application fees for reimbursement districts, and some stormwater fee updates. Next slide, please. The fee update proposal will be finalized based on feedback from council tonight. It will come before council for a vote on December 16th. And if approved, would take effect on February 1st, 2026 to align with the annual inflation adjustments. Next slide. And that concludes the presentation. Here again are the questions that were referenced at the beginning of the presentation. And we are happy to address questions the council may have.
Okay, Councilor Duggar.
Yeah, thank you for this. On as far as the development fees, I don't have a lot of feedback. I trust the judgment of the staff there. I am a little nervous anytime we raise fees because that raises the cost of housing, but I also know you all know that too. And I know that's high on your list of being really conscious about that. But I also value heavily having, you know, a planning staff that's appropriately resourced. So finding that balance, you know, I think you're seeking to find that balance, and I appreciate the work. I want to focus most of my comments on open air Beaverton. And I think we got it wrong months ago. And I've told a number of folks, I've told each of you, I think we got it wrong. And I think there was a number of reasons we did. I want to specifically talk about my experience as both a downtown resident and as someone who frequents these businesses. There are 11 of them, as you saw in your packet. It's not a massive amount. I also went to Hillsborough not long ago. My husband and I went to downtown, and there's a ton of them. If you walk down, I don't know the name of the street, but there's a lot of them. And that struck me when I was looking through the packet of the cost difference, not only right now, but even with these changes of Hillsborough and Beaverton, it is stark. I think about our restaurant strategy. We spent a lot of money, a lot of time and effort transforming our downtown, and it is a special place right now. And as a longtime downtown resident, it was kind of boring 10 years ago. There wasn't much going on. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, our restaurant strategy has been an incredible success. But we're also teetering in an economy that might be, or I should say we're in an economy that might be teetering right now a little bit, where small businesses particularly are struggling. We've seen a number of restaurants close recently. And so that's causing me to pause here. I also want to call out that outdoor seating, both in a cafe or in a parklet, does not just benefit the business. It benefits a lot of people. It benefits safety. When I walk around in the evening, and I walk at least through downtown at least 3 times a day because I have a giant dog and he needs to go to the bathroom, and that's what we do. I see lots of people out, and I also see people like me who can't bring their dog inside because of OLCC. And I see dining options for me that did not exist before this program. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. I think we need to start thinking about people that aren't just capable of going inside a restaurant. And so they're benefiting too, people that enjoy this. I also think about the timelines that these businesses actually can make money on their investment. And I happen to know a lot of the business owners. Many of these structures that they built can be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 of investment from them. Some of them get grants from the city, which is certainly helpful, but it's still an investment. If you think about ROI from a perspective of a business owner, it might take a while to get that back, right? If you're only able to use the investment 5-6 months out of the year, and that is the climate we live in right now. It's occasionally I will go downtown in January on a nice sunny day, and you will see people using these, but even that is difficult because businesses can't predict the weather, and you have to have staff to be able to service the outdoor areas. I'll also say that I see a lot of my folks, the business owners and the business community. This is not a one-time cost. These things take a lot of time to manage. They take a lot of money and resources to maintain. And I see a lot of businesses, if you walk downtown, comparing the structures now versus 2 years ago, they're warmer now. They have amenities, they have plants, they have heaters, they have things like that that are continually being invested in, and I want to acknowledge that. In my opinion, and I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I actually want to subsidize this. I want more of this. I want to send the message that Beaverton is open for business for our restaurants of all kinds. You know, when I think of, and they don't have an outdoor, or they don't have an open air Beaverton, but like Hobo, what a great little concept, right? It's in a space that is not big enough for indoor seating. I think of the First Street Pocha doesn't have much. Like there's businesses that don't have a lot of outdoor seating that really benefit from these spaces for benefit. And I want to see more of them. And I want to signal to the market that Beaverton wants you and we want you to invest in our community. And so I would ask that we strongly consider subsidizing these, not only significantly lower than what option 1 or 2. I mean, I would like to see it below the total cost, right? Less than $300 a year. And I know that that's a subsidy, but I also know there's only 11 of these businesses, right? Like this is not really going to materially impact our budget. Now, if we get to the point where we're so successful that we are subsidizing to the tunes of tens and tens of thousands of dollars a year, maybe we can have another conversation, and the programs can self-sustain, but it is teetering right now. And I've talked to every single one. And I believe them because I also walk downtown in the evenings. And if you go on a Friday night on a nice weather, they're busy. A lot of our businesses are struggling right now, and I really think we should be careful. And I really strongly encourage my colleagues to let's consider this a subsidy. And I'll also say, as far as the parklet, I lived in downtown a while, and I remember back when Councilor Teeter was executive director of the BDA, and they did a great little parklet program. And it was the first one I'd ever seen. And it was before we allowed any businesses to do it. The BDA sponsored it, and it was an art thing. And I remember the first time seeing Beaverton residents sit in a parking spot and thinking, wow, this is transformative. This is something special's happening right here. And now to see the private market doing this with a little bit of help from the government, I want to make sure we do more of that. That's the kind of innovation I love seeing downtown. I love seeing the streets active. I love seeing people out enjoying. I love seeing people walking their dogs and stopping in and grabbing a coffee, a beer, glass of wine, whatever they're doing. I want to see more of that. And I think we've got to send the signal to the market that now is a time for investment on behalf of Beaverton. That's all I got. Thank you.
Councilor Teeter.
Yeah, thank you both. I've got a couple of development fee questions and then a couple of open air Beaverton questions. So for the development fee adjustments, there's the pre-application conference that's going up, proposed to 2,000. Pre-application conferences are not required. Is that correct?
They are required for many land use applications, but not all.
Okay. I think I was just wondering, like, if we increase it too much, would we see fewer projects coming in that then would slow down or stall in the process if they're not getting the review they need? Like, do we see any challenge there, or what do we think?
So pre-application conferences are the result in the highest total subsidy annually for land use applications because we do a lot of them. And currently the fee is only $800, but the cost is over $6,000 just for planning staff. The truth is that we actually offer quite robust feedback through the pre-application conference process. So it has a lot of value to applicants. This is one of the application fees that we're going to be taking a much closer look at over the next year. Other jurisdictions have different approaches to pre-application conferences. They may not require them. Maybe they offer a slimmer version, but they have a lower cost. So there are a lot of options that deserve exploration that we didn't have the ability to do within the time frame of this particular study. The kind of draft proposal to increase the fee to $2,000 is frankly a modest increase compared to the overall cost. But I would agree that it needs some further attention.
Okay, thank you. No, I definitely want to see the increase there. I do like the idea that you threw out. It could be useful to have some more information in the future about is the slimmed down version for people or developers or homeowners that don't want to go through a full pre-application process, but just want a quick set of eyes to look at it. I think that could be helpful. But we do need to recoup some costs there, so I appreciate that. Another question is, on page 3 of the agenda bill, it says that subsidizing development fees could support some council values. And one of the notes there was to potentially support homeowners or small businesses with development fees. Do you have examples of like what sorts of projects those might be that might be subsidized in the future?
Sure. So there are two ways that subsidy shows up. One of them is in the list of explicitly subsidized applications that was included in the agenda bill, which are proposed to have, for the most part, a $0 application fee. Those are primarily targeted towards affordable housing. One of them, a certain kind of appeal, is required by law to have quite a low fee. But in general, for the larger body of planning applications, it's really more looking at that range of trying to get to the average 75% cost recovery and considering in that determination, which are the land use applications that are more likely to be used by homeowners and small businesses. So that is kind of the lens that we're using when we're looking at the overall the overall fee levels. The other approach is, I mentioned in the presentation, some applications that have proportional fees. One example is the design review fees. We actually have a scale based on project value. And we have the ability to hold the lowest fee at below cost recovery, and then essentially scale up to get closer to full cost recovery for projects that are in the range of tens of millions of dollars. So that's the way that particular consideration would be applied in the process of developing the detailed fee updates.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I asked that because what I'm bringing into what's floating around in the back of my head here is, I do want to subsidize middle housing and affordable housing, so ADUs and other things that homeowners can do on the properties to increase our housing supply is great. I want to subsidize that. I also want to recognize that measures 5 and 50 already provide homeowners a substantial subsidy for the amount that they're paying on their property taxes. So I think I would just be cautious about keeping fees too low in other areas if it's not supporting more middle housing. Okay, so open air Beaverton questions. I've got 2, I think. Businesses that have both sidewalk cafe seating and parklets, would they be paying fees for both of those, or could we loop them all into, let's say if they got both, they just pay the parklet fee? Because I think the fees could go up quite a bit if people have both.
Yeah, Councilor Teeter, obviously it's at the discretion of council how you would like to structure any of these fees. We do have at least one example that I can think of that has both, and they're just charged for the parklet fee. So that's an option. That is an approach to take.
Okay, thanks. And then Councilor Duggar was talking about subsidizing the parklet spaces and the renewals. And that resonates with me. I also want to recognize that the fees proposed here already feel like a subsidy. If we do a per day estimate, it's like $1.37 per day that people would pay per parking space over the course of a year. But that said, like there are realities here, like we want to see more of these. So I would be open to flexing that down a little bit more. I'm not sure how far. Or if it's just reducing the cost of the application and permit, but keeping the parking spaces priced where they are, or doing some sort of balance. I'm not sure how it would work out, but I'm open to lowering it down a little bit just so we can get more and keep them once they're here. There's a little bit more I might want to see there in the future, but I like the direction we're going with the fees here, and I appreciate the efforts for cost recovery. I think it's important, so thank you.
Councilor Hartmark-Brigg.
Thank you. I'm just going to echo what you said on development fees. Thank you for all that feedback, and where we can on, I think cost recovery is important. I like that this model is kind of balanced across, and the target of 75%, kind of that average makes sense to me. Some of the things definitely should be lower because the fee would just be such a massive change. So I do appreciate seeing that there's kind of an adjustment here along the way, and some of the fees are coming down, which I think is also great to really make sure that it is about cost recovery. It's not a profit center, it's to pay for the services. So I really appreciate that. So no other comments on that. Yes, I approve, or yes, I support the recommended cost recovery of 75% on the planning fees. And I do support the subsidies as presented. A question on open air Beaverton is, do any of the businesses that line First Street Dining Commons have any sort of fee that they pay towards First Street Dining Commons, like maintenance or any of the like?
Not to my knowledge, Councilor.
Okay, I thought the same, but the reason I state that is that I think like in hearing all of the discussion, when you're first talking, I was kind of like, I don't know, like we're expanding their capacity now, right? Like it's like your area got bigger because you added this, where during COVID, it was your only seating. But I think that it's important that we do our best to kind of see like, well, now somebody else has free outdoor seating, right? The folks on First Street Dining Commons, they do now have something that we create and we maintain and we pay for. And that's a very large or generous subsidy for those businesses. So I'm in agreement that we should lower the rates. I think that, where we kind of landed a few months back was just too high. And so I really appreciate seeing this come down. I think the place that I think the application, the permit fees, I feel comfortable with. The right of way is the one where I'm a little bit unsure of. I know we hear a lot from our community that the loss of parking spaces means a lot to them. I'm curious, and I don't know if this would be better for the business or not, but because it's a parking space that's being used in the right of way, I'd actually kind of be curious to know what would that annual parking permit fee be, right? Like, do we know? Tell me why it's maybe bad
Well,
logic.
Council, a few, 2 or 3 months ago, we
Yeah.
had a work session. We were approaching permit fees for
Yeah.
a parking program downtown. And if you recall, some of the market rate calculations for downtown would be equivalent to around $85 per month for a residential permit. And we could, and then obviously you can scale up or down for that and for employee permits too. So that equates to around $1,000 a
Yep,
year.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so then we would consider this subsidized from like, if that was your measure, right? I do think that we do want to keep it. We want to encourage this. We want to encourage this in more parts of our city. I know we don't have a whole lot of other places though that this model maybe works. And so I do think that because the, in our restaurant district in this zone, like these businesses have now contributed to creating this culture in the area, right? And I want to like really honor that and take care of that. So I would be, I'm not sure. I don't have a specific proposal on how to reduce it, but I'm supportive of my colleagues like ask of like, yeah, this should be a very well subsidized program because of the fact that we have a subsidized program up the block that we pay for, and they're contributing to creating this really special district that we want to keep and maintain.
Councillor Tifna?
Thank you. I'm kind of falling in line with Councillor Hartmeyer-Prigg on this one and to a comment that Councillor Teeter said about it already feeling a bit like a subsidy because we're taking these steps to not only create a little bit more nuance and definition between the size of things and not a one size fits all approach to it. I'm really hesitant to start thinking about subsidies in vacuums, especially at a time when we're grappling with the structural deficit and we're going to be asking voters to potentially consider a levy at some point in the future. This doesn't feel like the right time to start picking things one at a time. I am not against subsidizing valuable components of our community that we want to help flourish. And I recognize and deeply appreciate the comments about the business climate and how hard it is, especially for restaurants, and the margins being so slim. But to Councillor Teeter's point, when you do the math on day-to-day cost of these permit fees, they seem, for the impact they get in the increased amount of seating, seems like this is something that would be bearable. I am in support of option 2, though this is a work session. If more information comes to us, I'm totally willing to have that conversation as well. No questions about the development permit fee study approach or the findings. In support of the staff recommended cost recovery target of 75%. And I support the subsidizing of certain planning fees that have been thoroughly vetted.
Councillor Hassan?
Yeah, before I share words, I just want to have a couple clarifying questions. So Open Air Beaverton is truly 10 or 11 businesses? Does that sound about right?
We have 11 existing permits. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just go down the questions. I don't have any questions or comments about the development permit fee study. I will say what Councillor Teeter said is obviously encouraging development is always a priority, especially when it comes to housing. I support the 75% target. although I feel like people were saying a different number, but I'm going to go with that for the record. I think the planning fees are fine. Uh, it is really hard to be in this moment to know that we are in a fiscal, we're having our own fiscal issues as a city. We know that our small businesses and our communities are also really struggling right now. And so I'm really trying to like straddle those truths. And so I think without providing like very specific direction, just like how are we like partnering with our local businesses and our business community to make sure that we're not putting unintended consequences by some of these fees. So I don't have any strong recommendations except like we've got some really amazing small businesses and partners, and I wouldn't want to make any decisions that would inadvertently hurt them or ask them to leave, especially because I do think, and I'm trying to be cautious, but like I think we're going to be moving into a bit of like a people not eating out as much and just like really just seeing what the future is bringing right now. And so just asking you all to like very thoughtfully help us thread that needle in a way that there is a cost recovery target, of course, and we are not subsidizing to the extent that we're overextending ourselves. I don't know where I saw this in the comments, but like, when we have like local people that are doing this work in our community and their local businesses, like how are we uplifting those organizations versus some of those like bigger sort of larger development organizations? So that might not be something that's super allowed, but I just wanted to like put it out there because that's what I want to drive in this community, in this city. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm in support of 75% planning fees and all the recommendation, especially option 2. But I have to caution to where I have friends or acquaintances that I know who has restaurants inside retail stores. And he always complains to me all the time because he's paying for the space that he's leasing because provide dining. And city is making him going out of business by providing all the subsidies for parklets, food carts. They charge about the same cost for the food, but then they don't have any expenses where he pays a lot more for the provide seating for his business. So there's downside that I think by encouraging other businesses to provide these services, but their brick and mortar restaurants that might be going out of business at the same time, right? And when we are supplying parklets or the parking spaces for dining, that's extra footage, at least 10 feet or 20 feet that they don't have to pay. If you put that into the store, that's thousands of dollars a month that they have to pay. So even though I do agree with incentivizing and subsidizing, but I think there's got to be a limit to that, where at a certain point, we're going to have to drastically raise the fees. Then as a business owner, they have to make the decision, is it worth me paying that much fee to provide dining space for the customers or not, right? So I know Gresham, that when I just remember from slideshow, they have really high fees. So even though we're trying to go low and help people do their business, but it's like this, if it's going to cost me $1,000 to just have the place, I'll pay $1,000 and have a space there for me, right? Why not? I don't want any increase in fees either. But is it really, with the financial constraints that we have as a city, is it really ramping up the business? As a business owner, I would love to have almost free spaces that I can have people dining in front of my business. Everybody loves it, right? But because it really costs nothing, it is something, but it's nothing. So as a business perspective, we really have to go back and really think, what is our strategy here, right? And geographically, is it just going to affect the downtown? Is that what it is? Or is it the entire city of Beaverton?
For the most part, the program impacts downtown because that's where we had the sidewalk widths
Right.
and really the parking spaces. We don't have a lot of demarcated parking spaces elsewhere in the community. And
Right.
obviously the business traffic.
But then as a code, it doesn't restrict to the downtown area, right? It just, if you find someplace, you could do it. Yeah, so I'm technically, like, I could start coffee shop in my clinic and then apply for a dining space in the front.
I'd have to talk to the building official.
I'm just saying, there's a potential
I
to
get your
people
point.
to abuse it, and use it, just like, why not just have it, right? And then I can just put temporary structure there. So these are the things I want to think about. And as we are going into physical sustainability discussion, like, what is the fine balance between incentivizing or subsidizing, and to what limit are we going to do this? And we can permanently forever can do this. So that's on my mind. So this is a work session, so I'm just putting it out there for the staff to maybe think it through. I'm not against it, I'm for it, but is it to the health of the city financially? What is the fine balance between the two? So that's on my mind, because we are going into it. Financial recovery is the key driving pillar right now. So in that perspective, how can we help at the same time? How can it not hurt our financial situation for the city? So that's my input for today. Anyone else? No. Great, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Final item on the agenda is council new business. Does anyone have anything they wish to share? Councilor Hassan?
All right, so I will start off and just give you a sense of what I'm going to cover. And then Councilor Hartmeyer-Prig will join me, but it will help. Just want to get you all in the loop. We heard from community about immigration activity. Obviously, a couple of us saw this coming probably for a while and are navigating how to help folks in our community. I've had 2 former students lose their fathers to deportation, so it's been really rough. So we have 3 different motions. The first one I'm going to talk about, well, I'll share the motion. I think that we can discuss it. The first motion is to make a motion to ask the city staff to do a resolution declaring a state of emergency due to the federal actions of the government.
Second.
So I can talk on that if that helps. We have been working with staff, so I've talked with Jenny and the city attorney. We know that there are several different incidents happening throughout the federal government that are impacting our community directly, so we wanted to make sure we started the state of emergency. And then I have 2 other motions, but I think we take one at a time. Well, we have 3 total motions.
So we are, yes, let's
Discussion.
discuss. Yeah, please. Councilor Hartmeyer-Prig.
Thank you, Councilor Hassan. Yeah, I think it's clear we are in a state of emergency. We're in a state of distress. Our families are being taken. So by declaring the state of emergency, it also helps us have a coordinated response to what's going on with our communities surrounding us that have already done so. And I think that I'm supportive of this to give us an opportunity to see what other mechanisms we can move on because of that declaration.
Anyone else for the discussion? Yes, Councilor Teeter.
So question for staff, or maybe us up here too. So the declaration of a state of emergency, just to be clear, won't come, at least right now, with additional funding because the state hasn't declared a state of emergency, right? Okay, just wanted to make sure about that. Okay. That's all I had there. I thought there was more.
So, city attorney, how do we make a formal I guess we made a motion. So do we vote on it, or?
Yes, Council President, you've had the motion made. I don't know if there was a second.
There was.
Second.
discussed it, so I think we are set.
Okay, let's call the roll.
Counselor Duggar? Yes. Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg?
Yes.
Counselor Hassan?
Yes.
Council President Kimmy?
Yes.
Counselor Teeter?
Yes.
Counselor Tivnon?
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Up next.
This one? Okay.
Thank you, Council President. To be clear, I worked with city manager and city attorney, so these are not just anything new. The next motion I'm going to make is asking staff to return with an ordinance that codifies the state sanctuary statute into city code.
Second.
And if you would like me to add on that, Portland actually codified the sanctuary state within the city. And so we're not asking this to happen tomorrow. We're asking for staff to start the process. So we don't know how quickly it will move. And I respect that we're being thoughtful of staff time. But as we declare a state of emergency because of what's happening in our community, it's also important for us to use every tool in our toolbox. And this is another one. So we're going to work closely with staff. And I hope that you support this motion.
Any other discussion? No? No. Okay. Okay. Let's have a
Decided to vote.
roll call.
I'll second that. Did we get a second? Oh, sorry. I am so out of it right now. Sorry, y'all.
Give you the next one.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Roll call, please.
Counselor Duggar? Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg?
Yes.
Counselor Hassan?
Yes.
Council President Kimmy?
Yes.
Counselor Teeter?
Yes.
Counselor Tivnon? 6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
All right, number 3, and Councilor Hartmeyer Prick's going to come with number 4. This one's interesting. I had been working with the city attorney's office on this for the last year. We knew about a lot of different technology that could contribute to surveillance or not surveillance. Good news. We don't use Flock, so Flock is not really something that the city has to worry about. However, there are other actions that we could be looking into on how we collect data for our constituents. So for example, if there's any ways that we share that data of our constituents that could put them in harm's way, we want to mitigate that. So my next motion is I'd like to make a motion to ask the city staff to look into ways that we limit how we collect, share, and store data related to court activities that could further harm our communities.
Second. Second.
I was going to give it to Teeter, but it's fine. Just a little bit of context again, like we don't know in what ways we could be causing mitigated harm. And so we're not asking for any action right away. We're just asking for the city staff to look into this so that if there is anything we should be doing or could be doing, that's being taken care of.
Councilor Hartmeyer Prick.
Yeah, I think this one is important because our data is meant to keep our community safe. And right now, our data, maybe not, hopefully not our, not City of Beaverton data, but we're seeing across the country that local data is being taken to cause harm in community. And that's not keeping our public safe. So I think that this is a really interesting one for us to look into how we can protect our community in this way.
I just have a question to city manager. How would you do this?
Question is, how are we going to do it?
I mean, if we do it, is there a certain way that?
Yes. So for instance, the research questions related to court-related activities. So we would do an inventory in terms of our processes, the information that we collect from those that come through the court system, whether that's fingerprinting, whether that's information that's collected on filling out data, all of that. So we have a mechanism in which to do that inventory.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to know.
I can offer some background. I had a former student who had to go to the municipal court and was asked to fingerprint, had not been convicted, just it was showing up for the misdemeanor. And because they were undocumented, they had a bit of a panic attack. And because the Lake and Riley Act passed earlier this year, which says even if you have like a record or a something. So I don't know in our case whether that's going to be an issue, but asking city staff to look into that so that we can prepare. I would hate if someone, sillily vandalized a place that they shouldn't have, and then they get fingerprinted, and then that release, that suddenly, leads to a deportation. That is what is happening today, so that's the purpose of the motion.
Okay, if there's no more discussion, let's take a roll call.
Counselor Duggar?
Yes.
Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg?
Yes.
Counselor Hassan?
Yes.
Council President Kimmy?
Yes?
Counselor Teeter?
Yes.
Counselor Tivnon?
Yes.
That's 6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Counselor.
Any other? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Counselor Hassan got the hat trick, so I'm gonna add a fourth. So one of the things that I think would be important, we met as a council maybe a month or so ago where we moved to join a case together, and we included in that resolution, we gave direction that that city staff would have the ability to pursue cases that we might be worthy of joining, that we might want to sign on to. And that was specifically related to federal funding. But now there's, I think, more opportunity for us to give direction around potentially joining cases around immigration enforcement specifically. Or just other cases that we need to really protect our community with. So I would like to make a motion to ask city staff to bring back a framework for council policy for joining lawsuits.
Second.
Anybody wants to add or discussion?
I'll just add,
Yes.
I love this motion. This is, I know my one-on-one with Scott, this is something I asked for too, because I think it makes so much sense for us to like framework these things out. And as we join in one lawsuit, like, does that take away from our ability to join another? Staff time is not unlimited. And so like the framework ask makes so much sense to me. And I love this motion. Thank you for bringing it.
No, okay, let's have another roll call.
Counselor Duggar?
Yes.
Counselor Hartmeyer Prigg?
Yes.
Counselor Hassan?
Yes.
Council President Kimmy?
Yes?
Counselor Teeter?
Yes.
Counselor Tivnon?
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Counselor Kimmy, I'm so sorry. It's really hard to prepare for today. So Jenny, I'm gonna look at you and then I'm gonna look at the council and then you tell me. I have in my notes to ask staff and to look into exploratory programs related to housing and food, given what we're dealing with. Do you want me to do a formal motion?
If I recall our conversation, it was to ask staff to come back with information related to any type of work that the state is doing regarding housing and food. So I just gave my own direction, so thank you.
And
Okay.
just to give some back, do I need to do a motion? Do you want me to make this a motion? Is that?
You technically don't have to do a motion for this, but
Okay.
I appreciate the other
Thumbs
ones.
up.
That's great.
Thumbs up.
Like before.
I I do just want to say like one thing in this moment. I've obviously been really personally connected to this issue because I'm connected to a lot of former students and people in our community. And, to find a car with nobody inside and to find the family and to, communicate what's happening and, multiple of the individuals who've been impacted who are Beaverton residents are not being given any due process. And so when I mentioned 2 deportations, there was no due process. They were just deported. And so one of the areas that I'm struggling with is because we've never really invested in like a multicultural center in Beaverton, which I get why, but it has created this sort of like Band-Aid of 15 people in the community doing Band-Aid work. And so we have like a group of people in Central Beaverton that are doing some work. We have a group of people doing work in this other parts. And so I just want to put that on everyone's radar because I think if we had some sort of a hub, like Centro is doing really great work and their work is very based in Western Washington County. And so as we're identifying organizational partners and groups to work with, like
it is hard here. It is a teacher is helping here, or a volunteer is helping here, or a neighbor is helping here. We do not have infrastructure to help communities of color when their families are being torn apart. And it breaks my heart to like be on the front line of these phone calls and conversations, and to be like, okay, let me see what we can do about utility shut off, which thank you so much, city leadership and city management, who's stepping up and saying like, we're going to work hard. And so I ask that we think about like what that looks like in this community, not from a budgetary perspective, but just like how are we building that infrastructure for communities of color? Because I don't know, I won't speak for others, but like we are doing grocery deliveries for people who won't leave their house. And I imagine some of you are too. And I hope that over time we can build the infrastructure so that if and when this happens again, it isn't people that saw a car that was left and then are pulling over and helping get the car home. Like I want us to move in that direction. I think it's really important. So thank you for supporting these motions, and just kind of keep that in the back of your heads.
So I'm gonna make somebody second? No motion, that's it? Everybody got thumbs up? Okay, it's clear? Okay. Anyone else? By the way, no, I'm kidding. All right, that concludes our meeting tonight. The meeting is adjourned. Let's have a 3-minute break, and then you wanna do Bureau?